Huh. Turns out anti-vaccination memes were even worse than I thought they'd be. Oh! Sorry! Forgot I do shows on New Year's. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of 2019 of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. The same host that's been with you for the past 150 episodes, because did I forget to mention, this is the 150th episode! And the first of the year. How have I done it for this long? Nobody knows. We're actually not that far away from the 1 year anniversary, too. Which, okay, that was going to happen in 2019 no matter what. But still, the first episode of 2019, also being the 150th episode, was really cool. And before you ask, no, I didn't actually plan it out like that. But the point is, I hope you all had a happy new year. In fact, even the president wished all of his followers a happy new year today on Twitter. As, I guess, is just normal now. Not against this, for the record. I like politicians using Twitter. However, before he just did a simple Happy New Year, he did in all caps and an exclamation point. Happy New Year to everyone, including the haters. Aw, thanks! And the fake news media. Would I count? I mean, I'm not really popular enough to be fake news media. That's my goal for 2019. Become one of the fake news media Donald Trump hates. 2019 will be a fantastic year for those not suffering from the Trump derangement syndrome. He's actually said it. He actually said it. The man who used to be unable to go 5 minutes without complaining about Barack Obama is now saying these people just hate the president. Just calm down and enjoy the ride. I'm trying. Great things are happening for our country. Strange things are happening to me. Sorry, you've never watched a Toy Story trilogy over Christmas? I don't know what's wrong with you. Anyway, you know what, though? Here's a tweet he gave out on New Year's Eve that just lied. Mexico is paying for the wall. Whoa. Through the many billions of dollars a year that the USA is saving through the new trade deal, the USMCA, that will replace the horrendous NAFTA trade deal. There's virtually no difference between NAFTA and USMCA. And only one of them actually would affect Mexico. In case you're wondering how many differences there are, by the way, 2. And the one I'm referring to is a protectionist deal involving cars, where in order for cars to not apply to U.S. tariffs, they have to be, I think, twice as many assets have to be made in the U.S. So you're just a protectionist at that point, which is not a good philosophy. Anyway, last year, and yes, I will do that joke every now and then, I broke down Elizabeth Warren specifically for her running. However, it should be noted that I feel bad because I feel like I only focused on the negatives. You know, the things I disagree with her on. However, there is actually a lot I do agree with her with. And I'm going to, this guy on Twitter, Jeff Stein from Washington Post, broke down key parts of Elizabeth Warren's policy, so I'm going to, my mic just fell. The sad thing is, this actually works now, so you heard that. But Jeff Stein on Washington Post broke down parts of her policy. I'm going to go through them right now. 40% worker control of corporations. I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah, I saw Where to Invade Next, and I think it's Germany has a system where it has like a council that's half made up of workers. I feel like, first off, in order for it to work, it has to be either 50-50 or majority. But second off, even then, like, at that point, I feel like they just be bribed. You know, you can have a token worker who really votes. At that point, you're basically like a token liberal Supreme Court justice. And I have to adjust this mic mid-show. And because this mic is good, you people are actually picking up on... Yeah, fun fact, the Blue Yeti I used, I never actually picked up any of that on sound. Okay, there we go. You can't even see the mic anymore. This is the mic for the record. Public option for prescription drugs, agree. Enormous affordable housing plan, would need more specifics, but typically agree. $100 billion to fight opioid epidemic. Let me stop you right there, because really, you want to fight the opioid epidemic, just get out of Afghanistan. Then the CIA can't get the opium. That's it's been reported, and I've covered the reports on this show before, last year, but still, that most of our opium comes from Afghanistan, and the opium crisis really only got big after Bush declared war in Afghanistan. And it just so happens that we're guarding the poppy fields there quite a bit. And it's weird because even some mainstream conservatives have acknowledged the war in Iraq was about resources, but Afghanistan, that was moral and just. Slash PR's debt, need to look more into that. New lobbyist bans, yes. Medicare for all, of course. I've been talking about why Medicare for all is awesome throughout this entire show's run. You can just go look back in the archives. I've made the argument millions upon millions of times and held up even to what conservatives thought were their strongest points. Even back to the early days, it actually caused me to start going after Courtney Krishoff, in fact, when she was lying about the Alfie Evans case. Anyway, next I was going to read some reactions to Elizabeth Warren running, so I went to Town Hall, and I found this column by Dennis Prager, "The Left Will Make 2019 a Dark Year." Now, as someone who's on the left, I will read this column. I haven't read it yet. This is another blind read. I like doing these every so often, and we're going to figure out if he's right. I rarely make predictions, whether of election results or anything else. My policy has always been what I believe should be done, not what will be done. I am making an exception with regards to America in 2019. 2019 will be a dark year in America. It's nighttime in America. That's an old reference. Thanks to the left's control of the House of Representatives, not all of them are leftists, but okay, they're mostly just generic liberals, which you yourself have said is different than leftists. And the news media, I thought we've had that since the 60s, back when we said it was not a good idea to fire hose black people for going into restaurants that said they couldn't go in there, or for standing on dockets for too long. But that was actually the liberals were the racists, because a few Democratic senators voted against the Civil Rights Act, and then my head hurts. With innumerable hearing, exposés, criminal investigations, and the possible indictment of those around the president and president himself, at some point you gotta think, when they keep finding things, something's going on. Although you stopped caring probably after the Reagan administration. They still didn't hang Oliver North for treason, is what I'm saying, and now he's president of the NRA. Because a traitor is the best person to represent law-abiding gun owners. It doesn't make any sense to me either. Truth will not be the point. Just ask Rudy Giuliani. Defamation will. Anything that might muddy the president, no matter how spurious, no matter how thin the evidence, will be pursued with gusto. Just speak in normal words. The media will drop bombshell after bombshell. Oh my god. If lives and careers are ruined, so much the better. It's almost like when people hear negative things, they tend to not like the president anymore. Although that's also backfired in the past, but oh wait, I already read that. No one should be associated with this president anyway, as far as the left is concerned. Yeah, I hold all of Trump's appointees to skepticism. Just like I held the man himself to skepticism. How is that surprising? Would you prefer we just blindly believe everything the president says? The Robert Mueller investigation into alleged collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government, which has led to guilty pleas and the imprisonment of people around Trump for offenses having nothing to do with such collusion. Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump Jr. both admitted to having meetings with Russians. What do you think is going on at this point? Is a preview of what lies ahead, you ignoring facts? The goal of the left is to weaken, disable, and impeach the president is the heart of its mission to undo the 2016 presidential election. If the Republicans have done anything comparable to the Obama administration, the Democrats and the media would not only have charged Republicans with racism. First off, what would you call making the second-term Congresses the least productive in U.S. history? As they labeled all criticism of Barack Obama. No, they really just only did that for the birther conspiracy, which was actually horribly racist. And the Muslim one, for that matter. And the idea that he started the recession and as reparations for slavery, whatever that even meant, which doesn't even make any sense. Now, look, there were legitimate criticisms against Obama, don't get me wrong. There were criticisms against him that were wrong, that weren't racist, but there were also some pretty racist ones. Again, the idea he was a Muslim from Kenya from Mars, which is one I think Glenn Beck promoted. And Sean Hannity, and Rush Limbaugh, and Steve Bannon, and you, and Mark Levin, and Michael Savage, and Pat Buchanan, and Ben Shapiro, and everyone at townhall.com, quite frankly. They would have howled fascism, and for once they wouldn't have been far from the truth. The misuse of government institutions for political ends is indeed a fascist tactic. What does that even mean? But because most media serves as propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, that has been debunked time and time again, there will be no protest from the media, only support. Yes, checks and balances could be reinstituted. Who would have thought? There is nothing Trump or any member of the administration has done that is comparable to Hillary Clinton's use of her own email server while U.S. Secretary of State. How about Ivanka Trump doing something very similar? Is that comparable? And even then, at this point, who cares? Hillary Clinton hasn't been politically relevant in 2 years now. I don't even like Hillary Clinton. I have to keep defending her. Or her destroying of tens of thousands of emails. Do you mean deleting? After they were subpoenaed by Congress, or foreign governments, and the corporations paying vast sums of money to Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. That one I'm giving you a citation for. Nor is there anything Trump or anyone in his administration have done comparable to the Obama administration's use of the IRS to suppress conservative nonprofits that have been going on since the Nixon era. And you know it. And it wasn't only conservative nonprofits, for the matter. 10% of them were liberal organizations. It's selling guns to Mexican drug cartels. Do actually agree with that, although the idea was to arrest them for buying illegal weapons. However, Eric Holder was an idiot, so that's not what happened. At least one of which was later found at the scene where a Border Patrol officer was killed, or its lies about the cause of the murder of the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans in Benghazi. Yeah, the Republican-controlled House Representatives did a report and determined that's not what happened, and you know it. Yet, any suggestion by Republicans that these activities be investigated, they all were. Benghazi was investigated time and time again for years straight. And 2 years later, the Republican House Committee determined that there was no wrongdoing. There probably should have been, quite frankly. I'm going to be honest. If you want to say what Barack Obama did by ignoring certain aspects of the Benghazi case should have been illegal, then I may actually agree depending on the specific part. However, nothing Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or anyone in that administration did in the Benghazi case was illegal. This isn't how things ought to be. This is how things are. And let's not talk about the real collusion in 2016 between the FBI for spying on the Trump campaign like they spied on everyone, the State Department, citation please, the Clinton campaign, the Obama White House, using material sourced in part from the Russian government. That's been debunked even by this show. To undermine the Republican candidate for the president and his presidency, the mainstream media isn't interested in that. In other words, the Democratic Party and the mainstream media will do to American political life what it has done to the arts, the universities, the high schools, the Boy Scouts. Actually temporarily save it? Race relations. Religion, the happiness of so many women, misled by feminism regarding marriage and career, the moral fabric of American life, morality reduced to feelings. What do you think morality is? Late night television. So they'll make it bad. Mainstream Judaism, Catholicism, and Protestantism. That could never be saved, dude. Pro-football and the sexual innocence of the young. That never happened. Define young, and depending on the age, it will have just never been a thing. It will poison it. From the French Revolution to this day, I don't think I've ever heard the left be blamed on the French Revolution, but okay, that was us. Sorry guys, we caused the French Revolution. The two great aims of the left have been promising utopia to the malcontent and accumulating as much power as possible. All moral values are subverted to these goals. After all, what could be more important than social justice, the left's term for everything it advocates? No one uses the term social justice. Except people trying to attack others. Equality of results. Nobody wants that. We want equality of opportunity. All we are is skeptical that free market capitalism can produce it. Women's liberation from sexual oppression of the patriarchy, combating white privilege, fighting the rape culture that pervades campuses. Does anyone even still argue that? Saving life on the planet Earth from external threats. There are external threats to it. Resistance to the authoritarian, fascist, white supremacist, racist Trump administration. Well, what would you call an administration that allowed Steve Bannon? That's all I'm going to say. Supplanting national identities, institutions with a world citizen identity and international institutions. No one's actually doing that. And for that matter, that kind of paranoia led to JFK being shot. Fun fact! And undoing the most fundamental built-in identity of the human race. That male and female in the name of transgender rights. First off, that was a giant run-on sentence. Second off, you don't understand any of those concepts, but okay. And how much longer until this column is done? Compared with almost any country, America is freer. We're like 17th on index of economic freedom. In fact, there's a lot of Europe that's freer than us in that regard. Gives its people more opportunities to economically advance. Citation, please. Like, even if your definition is free markets, that's not working. Is less racist, xenophobic, and anti-Semitic. I thought the left was all anti-Semitic, but okay. Has a friendlier population, thank you. And it has less corruption, okay, now you're wrong. And has far more medical innovation, thank the universities you hate so much for that. Yet this coming year, the left, the Democratic Party, and the media will continue purveying the lie that the Trump administration is a fascist, racist, authoritarian, and is a moral threat to America's democracy. We live in a society, dang it! Given all the Trumpian fascism, how exactly did the Republicans lose the House? Because they haven't completely suppressed the rights to vote? Thanks to Democratic control of the House of Representatives, the left will use the levers of government to keep the American people in a constant state of aggravation. You do know it's only one house, right? There's still another house they have to go through. The only thing the left hates more than a happy population is losing elections. Well, no one likes losing elections, so okay. And it knows the two are linked, because happy and grateful Americans rarely vote Democrat. Citation needed. And for that matter, can I officially call any call Dennis Prager has for happiness to be for political purposes now, which apparently is the greatest evil in the U.S.? The road to Democratic victories lies in convincing women, black, Hispanics, Jews, and young people to be as unhappy, ungrateful, and angry as possible in the greatest country ever made. You're just crazy, you know that? That is the left's agenda for 2019. Nevertheless, in wishing a happy new year to my fellow Americans, I hope I'm wrong. And of course, it's town hall, so no one really knows how to end it. And I'd like to point out his tags are, you ready for this? GOP, Obama, the Clinton Foundation. Not really the most important things in the column. I'm Ephrom, and Happy New Year, good night.